Chapter 981, Shock. Not good, the three princes are coming. Shi Yuli's expression became solemn as he looked into the distance. Zhao Feng. Old Ying called out. Zhao Feng was the strongest person in the 9th Prince's team. Right now, he managed to stall more than a dozen emperors and quasi-sacred lords. Old Ying believed that Zhao Feng should have the strength to defeat the three princes. Wang Tilda. The 9th prince slowly stepped forward, and the pseudo-crown prince seal in his hand started to blink. The opposing three princes were all emperors. Amongst them, the 2nd prince's strength was the closest to the 9th prince. However, everything would be completely different if the princes used their draconic providence. The three princes would be able to increase their battle power to the quasi-sacred lord rank or even higher. Luckily though, the three princes hadn't gathered much draconic providence. Within Zhao Feng's little world of wind lightning. Zhao Feng, you're stealing from us? You're really despicable. Zhao Feng, it doesn't matter if you've trapped us. You have lost. The battle power of the three princes will be extremely close to the sacred lord rank once they use their draconic providence. More than a dozen people that Zhao Feng had trapped sensed that the three princes entered the battlefield and were overjoyed. Hee, since I've already obtained your dragon jades and none of you want to leave, don't blame me for being disrespectful. Zhao Feng suddenly laughed coldly. Whoosh! A blazing glass-like flame spread across Zhao Feng's body. It was as he was bathing in fire, and he looked like a flaming demonic sovereign with the addition of the sacred lightning body. This is the Blood Devil Sun bloodline? The intel is indeed correct, Zhao Feng really has the Blood Devil Sun bloodline of the Tai family. Everyone, stall Zhao Feng and wait for the three princes to arrive. While the experts that were trapped in Zhao Feng's little world were somewhat surprised, conquering the Heaven's Legacy City was the most important thing right now. They had forced out the dream pollen and escaped from the illusions long ago. The reason they stayed in Zhao Feng's little world was because they saw the three princes entering the battle. The experts all prepared to team up. As long as they could stall Zhao Feng, the three princes would arrive and take over the Heaven's Legacy City. Boom. With the explosive release of the Blood Devil Sun bloodline, Zhao Feng's figure disappeared with a flash. Watch out. A quasi-sacred lord could sense Zhao Feng's location and immediately called out. The next instant, amidst an explosion of fire and lightning that shook the heavens, an emperor in the group was smashed into pieces by a punch from Zhao Feng. See. The enemies became dead silent when they saw Zhao Feng instantly kill a peak emperor. They had already guessed that Zhao Feng's strength had reached the level of sacred lords, but even some actual sacred lords weren't as fast as him. Quick, stop him. Shui Yuan roared as his body shook. The others all recovered from the shock and circulated their true yuan to block Zhao Feng. They couldn't let Zhao Feng rely on his speed and slowly take them down one by one. Boom. With another explosion, Zhao Feng left behind a wave of fire and lightning as he turned into a bolt of lightning and charged toward a group that had fewer people. Bam! An emperor circulated his true yuan and formed a defensive barrier when he saw Zhao Feng approaching, but he was still crushed by Zhao Feng's sacred lightning body. His body exploded. Zhao Feng's true yuan was strengthened in the little world of wind lightning. His speed and power could be completely unleashed. If this group of people had broken Zhao Feng's little world first, they might have been able to cause Zhao Feng some trouble, but the situation was now under Zhao Feng's control. They no longer had any chance to break out of Zhao Feng's little world. Arg! Another emperor was easily smashed into smithereens by Zhao Feng. The hearts of both friend and foe alike shook. Good. As long as Zhao Feng can finish them off, we still have hope. Old Ying's voice was calm. On the other side, the enemies fighting against the sky-shaking golden apes and the other members of the 9th Prince's team trembled. Zhao Feng killed emperors as easily as killing chickens. The enemies could only place their hopes on the three princes. Zhao Feng, stop. The three princes who were rushing over saw this scene and roared. A bunch of idiots. The 5th prince cursed. The group of people who were in Zhao Feng's little world thought that Zhao Feng could do nothing to them, and now they were being slaughtered. If they had attacked Zhao Feng's little world with full power from the start, everything would have been fine. Let's destroy Zhao Feng's little world first. The 2nd prince had a grim expression. They couldn't let Zhao Feng kill any more of their members. Who? The other two princes nodded their heads, and they all drew their swords as they circulated their true yuan, and a dragon made of light shot into the air. Not good, the three princes want to destroy Zhao Feng's little world. Old Ying's expression changed slightly. He was fighting against a quasi-sacred lord right now and couldn't help. It'll be bad if Zhao Feng's little world is destroyed. Shi Yulai had a heavy heart. Right now, he was blocking a bunch of attacks for the other members. There weren't many people in the 9th Prince's team who could fight. If it wasn't for the 3 sky-shaking golden apes stalling some of the enemies, they would have lost long ago. Humph. Zhao Feng looked at the 3 princes and waved his left hand. 8 fist-sized bees appeared. They radiated a terrifying aura, and they flew directly toward the 3 princes that were just about to attack. Not good. Those are 5 poison distinct bees. Retreat. The 2nd prince exclaimed, and the 3 princes instantly gave up on attacking and started to retreat. They somewhat knew the history of the 5 poison distinct bees. Boom. 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 8 Peak King level bees self-destructed as the 3 princes were retreating. Although only the shockwave reached the 3 princes, the Bee King's suicide was able to critically threaten emperors. The self-destruction of 8 Bee Kings at once definitely had a big effect on the 3 princes. The 3 princes had ugly expressions, they lost a lot of draconic providence to the self-destruction of the 5 poison distinct bees. Zhao Feng, good job. Old Ying exclaimed. Zhao Feng used the 5 poison distinct bees to force the 3 princes back quite a bit. This gave Zhao Feng time to finish off the rest of the enemies within his little world. What is this? 2nd prince, save us. The 3 princes were forced back by Zhao Feng. The experts trapped within Zhao Feng's little world revealed expressions of despair when they saw this. Zhao Feng had still hidden some of his skills? Damn it, Zhao Feng could have used those 5 poison distinct bees to defeat us right from the beginning, an emperor called out. He probably thought that he didn't need to do so. A quasi-sacred lord felt their body turn cold. Hearing this, the hearts of all the other members shook, and they started to tremble. Indeed, Zhao Feng had already forced them into desperation even without the use of the 5 poison distinct bees. Boom. During the time when everyone was dazed, Zhao Feng's scarlet lightning fire fists engulfed another 2 emperors. Run. I don't want to die. Zhao Feng, don't kill me. Shui Yuan begged Zhao Feng while retreating. At the moment, 5 emperors had been killed by Zhao Feng already. Even if they did destroy Zhao Feng's little world now, they wouldn't be his match. They had no will to fight anymore, and they all escaped toward the direction of the 3 princes and hoped that the princes could come as soon as possible and save them. Who? Zhao Feng flapped his scarlet wings of lightning and left behind a streak of light as he appeared directly in front of everyone and blocked their way. Zhao Feng, let us go, please. We won't attack ever again. You've already taken our dragon jades. Please just let us go. Everyone was in utter despair. They couldn't escape from Zhao Feng's little world. Zhao Feng was the fastest in his own little world, and with the addition of his powerful physical power, no one was his match. 3 princes, hand over your pseudo-crown prince seals or else I will start a massacre. Zhao Feng looked down on everyone from above like the god of storms and lightning. The 3 princes' hearts fell when they heard this. If Zhao Feng killed all these experts, then the blame would be on Zhao Feng. It would be Zhao Feng who cruelly killed them, offending more than a dozen forces in the Great Gan Lord dynasty. However, everything became completely different once Zhao Feng said this. If the 3 princes declined Zhao Feng and then Zhao Feng killed everyone, the 3 princes would be at fault. It would be them who had given up on their own members' lives just to preserve their draconic providence. Humph, Zhao Feng, don't you dare kill my members. The 2nd prince's expression remained the same as he charged over with a roar. The 2 other princes faltered. They didn't know what to do. Brother 2nd prince's idea is good. The 5th prince revealed a faint smile. The 2nd prince was using his own method to reject Zhao Feng. If Zhao Feng still killed all their members, it wouldn't be because the princes didn't want to save them, it would be because they didn't have enough time to do so. The 5th and 12th princes also yelled and followed the 2nd prince as they charged at Zhao Feng once more. True Yuan flowed into their swords, and they prepared to destroy Zhao Feng's little world once more. Hee hee. Zhao Feng waved his hand and 8 venomous bees appeared once again. The 5 poison distinct bees charged directly at the 3 princes. One of them was slightly bigger than the rest and had brighter colors. It was a bee emperor. Boom. 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 The 3 princes were frightened back again. The power of the 5 poison distinct bees' self-destruction this time was even stronger than before. The 12th prince accidentally touched the toxic air, and his expression became extremely ugly. He still has more 5 poison distinct bees? The second prince's face went green, but there was nothing he could do. Countless experts on the battlefield felt their hearts tremble as they looked at Zhao Feng. The enemies that were still fighting against Old Ying and company became filled with fear, and they slowly lost the will to fight. The advantage they originally had was turned around because of Zhao Feng's participation. The beast horde started to turn the tide after Zhao Feng took control of them, and the 3 sky-shaking golden apes and their new bloodlines helped the 9th prince's team stall many experts. Zhao Feng himself had trapped more than a dozen enemies and stopped the 3 princes from entering single-handedly. If this continued, the losers would definitely be the 3 princes. The people in the other 3 Heaven's legacy cities were stunned as well when they looked at this battle. The 7th prince's team that was ready to come out at any moment never appeared. Chapter 982, The Third Stage. The 3 princes had ugly expressions. They didn't expect the final outcome to be like this. The decisions they had to make right now were extremely difficult. If they wanted to press the attack, they couldn't win, but if they wanted to retreat, all the members held hostage by Zhao Feng would die. Furthermore, the 7th prince was still hiding behind them at full power. Even if the 3 princes paid a heavy price and somehow managed to defeat the 9th prince's team, they wouldn't be able to defend against the 7th prince's ambush. Everything they did in the end would just pave the way for someone else. If the 3 of you aren't willing to hand over the pseudo-crown prince seal, there's still one other method that can save your members. Zhao Feng's emotionless voice sounded once more. Both friend and foe alike all knew what this method was. Fine. I admit defeat. The 2nd prince looked at Zhao Feng coldly, raised his pseudo-crown prince seal, and poured a surge of intent into it. No matter what they did today, they had lost. However, the 2nd prince didn't want to waste his effort just to benefit the 7th prince, and he didn't want to give his draconic providence to Zhao Feng. If his members all died here as well, then the forces that supported him might change their minds. Brother 2nd prince, don't be rash. The 5th prince's expression turned to shock. He knew what Zhao Feng meant as well, but he couldn't just admit defeat in front of so many people. He knew that the 2nd prince was a person who didn't take risks, but once the 2nd prince left, what would the 5th prince and the 12th prince do? Thus, the 5th prince had to try to persuade the 2nd prince. The 2nd prince didn't bother with the 5th prince, he just sent the signal for help from the pseudo-crown prince seal. Wang. A profound and complex array spread from the pseudo-crown prince seal. At the same time, a light flashed from all of the dragon jades connected to the 2nd prince's pseudo-crown prince seal, and an array started to activate. Who? The 2nd prince and his team left the battlefield. Brother 5th prince, what should we do? The 12th prince didn't know what to do after seeing the 2nd prince leave. The 5th prince had a dead expression and didn't know what to do either. While the 2 princes were thinking about what to do, within the little world of Wind Lightning, since the princes you support don't want to save you, then don't blame me for being disrespectful. Zhao Feng's voice resounded across the entire little world, and those that were still alive in the little world revealed expressions of fear and fell to the ground. Don't kill me. 5th prince, please save me. I'm willing to hand over all my wealth. Just don't kill me. If you kill me, the Ocean Guarding Hall won't forgive you. Boom. Who tilde? Zhao Feng's little world of Wind Lightning suddenly contracted, and an even stronger pressure bore down on those still inside. Limitless power of Wind Lightning descended in the little world. Boom. The scarlet wings of lightning on Zhao Feng's back fluttered as he took the lives of the remaining people. Whoosh. After completing this, Zhao Feng's little world of Wind Lightning disappeared. He perched above the metallic city wall and revealed a faint smile as he looked into the distance. The members of the 7th prince's team 100 miles away shook. They were about to go invite the 12th and 5th princes to an alliance, but Zhao Feng instantly killed a bunch of emperors and quasi-sacred lords. He killed them all. Zhang Hao's heart shook. Zhao Feng seems to have taken us into account from the start. The scholar's expression changed as he thought of something. How is this possible? The 7th prince didn't believe it. Although Zhao Feng's actions just now did indeed stun them, the scholar said that Zhao Feng made his plan with them in mind from the start. The 7th prince didn't dare to believe this. I understand now. The reason why Zhao Feng chose to break through at this moment is to avoid the 3 princes working with us. The scholar suddenly understood. Zhao Feng entered seclusion and revealed a flaw so that the three princes would attack. Seeing that, the seventh prince decided to just stay back and wait to benefit from their fight instead of teaming up with the three princes. How is that possible? Jiang Hao was dazed after hearing what the scholar said. However, what the scholar said was correct. Today was the last day. If there was nothing else they could do, the seventh prince might indeed team up with the other three princes. However, at this moment in time, the three princes had been utterly defeated, and the second prince had already admitted defeat. Even if they teamed up with the remaining two princes now, the ninth prince's team had the ability to fight back. We lost without even fighting. The scholar sighed. The enemies that were still in a stalemate against the sky-shaking golden apes on the city wall felt their hearts and legs tremble when they saw Zhao Feng kill the remaining emperors and quasi-sacred lords. Run! The fifth prince roared. He had given up on attacking the city. However, he wouldn't admit defeat even though he would be sent out anyway at the end of the second stage tonight. Quickly retreat! The 12th prince also exclaimed. The enemies on the city wall instantly used their secret techniques to run, and their beast horde below also quickly retreated under the command of the beast tamers. You want to leave? Shi Yulai felt extremely smug and prepared to chase after the enemy. There's no need to chase after them. Zhao Feng stopped Shi Yulai. At the same time, a faint undulation of mental energy flashed through his left eye. He had completed his mark of the God Eye. Ha ha ha. We won. Shi Yulai also knew the reasoning behind not chasing after a defeated enemy in case they decided to unleash an all-out counterattack in their despair. The members of the ninth prince's team instantly let out a breath, and they somehow felt that this fight wasn't as difficult as they originally imagined it would be. Zhao Feng, your breakthrough was to lure them in, right? Old Ying thought about it carefully and seemed to understand why Zhao Feng chose to break through at this moment and reveal a weakness. If the three princes teamed up with the seventh prince, even Zhao Feng could do nothing. Therefore, Zhao Feng purposely revealed a weakness in the ninth prince's team to incite a quick attack. Facing an enemy with such a huge flaw, everyone would have their own ideas. Why would they team up if they didn't have to? Hearing what Old Ying said, everyone else seemed to understand as well. In this battle, not only had they defeated the three princes on the surface, they also forced the seventh prince's team, who was hiding in the darkness, into despair. It was like killing two birds with one stone. Even if the remaining two princes teamed up with the seventh prince at this point, it was impossible for them to conquer the ninth prince's Heaven's Legacy city. The ninth prince's team had obtained steady control of this city. Hee, it's still not over yet. Zhao Feng revealed a playful smile. Who? A dark silver bow with mysterious tadpole-like markings appeared in Zhao Feng's hand. The other members of the ninth prince's team looked at him with puzzlement. Zhao Feng used the mark of the God Eye to sense the fifth prince's location. Wang tilde Jiang. Zhao Feng pulled back the bowstring and inserted his fire of wind lightning into it. An arrow made of scarlet lightning started to condense on the sky-locking bow. Whoosh! Zhao Feng casually shot an arrow out. The fifth prince, who had escaped very far away by now, felt like there was a pair of eyes watching him. The fifth prince suddenly turned around and saw an arrow of scarlet lightning shooting at him. Ambush? The fifth prince was stunned, and he immediately circulated his true yuan to unleash a defensive technique. Boom. When the dust faded away, the fifth prince's body was scorched black. Without the draconic providence, he was just an emperor and obviously couldn't block Zhao Feng's attack. If Zhao Feng had used the sky-locking bow with his full power just now, this arrow might have taken the fifth prince's life. How is this possible? How can Zhao Feng still attack us from so far away? The 12th prince squinted his eyes and saw Zhao Feng holding a bow on the city wall. Let's quickly leave. This place is wicked. The 5th prince was enraged and frustrated, but there was nothing he could do. Whoosh! Another arrow shot over. This time, the target was the 12th prince. Boom! Zhao! The 12th prince's eyes bulged out in anger. The two princes retreated another couple hundred miles, but mysterious arrows kept raining down on the 5th and 12th princes. The members that followed the two princes felt their hearts twitch. It didn't matter where the two princes ran, the arrows that Zhao Feng shot out seemed to have eyes and would always be able to find the two princes. The draconic providence within the two princes' pseudo-crown prince seals was finally completely used up, and they were forced to ask for help. This resulted in all of them being teleported away. No one on the ninth prince's city wall knew what Zhao Feng was doing. He just kept on pulling his bowstring and shooting arrows in a random direction. However, everyone in the Great Gan Imperial Palace saw what happened clearly. Zhao Feng was able to hit the two princes by just casually pulling his bow even from several thousand miles away. Even the most professional archers in the Lord dynasty couldn't do this. The second prince paused, and he suddenly felt that admitting defeat and choosing to leave was a very wise decision. At this moment, the 5th and 12th princes were extremely ruffled and completely scorched black, and they had been forced to ask for help anyway. Compared to him, the other two had lost way more face. The owners of the four Heavens Legacy cities were just about fully confirmed, and the experts of many forces remembered Zhao Feng. His calm and critical thinking, powerful strength, and countless techniques made them admire him. The faces of all the experts within the Ninth Prince's Hall were red. They hadn't thought that the Ninth Prince would be able to take over a Heaven's Legacy city and enter the third stage of the Crown Prince trial. Master. Bai Kuang-yue's eyes were watery as she looked at the Ninth Prince's screen with love and awe. As expected of Grand Elder, Zhang Jie also looked up to Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng was probably the only person in the history of the Lord dynasty to defeat a sacred lord as a measly king. Zhao Feng. Tai Hongnan's expression was grim. That display from Zhao Feng even made him feel like taking Zhao Feng as his disciple, but unfortunately, Zhao Feng didn't want to return to the Tai family, and his soul wasn't from the Tai family either. Elder Hongnan, what should we do about Zhao Feng? Tai Lishan asked. Tai Hongnan didn't reply. They were originally going to use more forceful methods, but now he would need to discuss things with the other elders of the family. Within the 13th Prince's Hall. This Zhao Feng. Sacred Lord Demonic Abyss had an ugly expression. Zhao Feng's potential made him uneasy. Furthermore, Zhao Feng's perfect Blood Devil Sun bloodline made his head hurt as well. As night descended, the members of the 7th Prince's team were teleported out by the stone tablet. The Crown Prince trial had entered the third stage, clash between princes. Chapter 983, Moving Maze Palace. Only the 4 princes and their team members still in a Heaven's Legacy city remained in the Imperial tombs. The 8th and 9th princes' teams could finally let out a breath. There are 10 days of rest till the third stage starts. Let's have a rest and recover to our peak state. Old Ying looked at the exhausted members. Everyone had put in a lot of effort to conquer this Heaven's Legacy city and were completely exhausted. Old Ying, what exactly is the third stage? Zhou Suer couldn't help but ask. She had already asked this question before, but Old Ying said that it was too early and that it was useless to tell them before reaching it. The Clash of Princes is held between the 4 Heaven's Legacy cities. The Heaven's Legacy cities will start a game, and the participants are obviously the 4 princes and their teams. Since it was now time, Old Ying told them everything he knew. In the beginning, there was only a slight chance of the 9th prince actually conquering a Heaven's Legacy city, and only if he got lucky and everything went perfectly. Therefore, there was no point in telling everyone else about the third stage. In fact, that would only distract them from the present moment. Even now, Old Ying felt like he was in a dream. He didn't expect the 9th prince to be on par with the 4th, 13th, and 8th princes and actually conquer his own Heaven's Legacy city. That sounds interesting. Zhou Suer nodded in half-understanding. Zhao Feng was surprised. The Heaven's Legacy cities supplied the grounds for the Clash of Princes? The Imperials had probably spent a lot of resources in order to make a deal with the Heaven's Legacy cities. No one knows what kind of game the Heaven's Legacy cities will set. There have been games that have appeared multiple times since the first Crown Prince trial, but they're always perfected the next time to make sure the game is fair, Old Ying explained to everyone. Because no game was ever exactly the same in any of the trials before, it was hard to make preparations for it. In addition, since it was a game and not a direct clash of strength, many factors were involved. Of course, the main point of this game is Draconic Providence, Old Ying emphasized. In the 4th stage, the fight for the Grand Seal, it was basically a clash between Draconic Providence. This had never changed before, and anyone that knew anything about the Crown Prince trial knew this. This was why the third stage was so important. It was the last chance to obtain more Draconic Providence. The 9th prince had the least Draconic Providence within his pseudo-Crown Prince seal compared to the other princes within the Imperial tombs. If he wanted to become the Crown Prince, The ninth prince needed to beat the other three princes in the third stage or else he would be eliminated in the third stage. Don't worry. We just need to give it our all, the ninth prince said with a faint smile. To a certain degree, the ninth prince had already proved himself by reaching this stage. This was what his original goal was, to prove himself as a prince. It's almost impossible for us to beat the 13th and 4th princes, but luck plays a very big role in the third stage. This is why even the professional information agencies can't guess who will become the crown prince, Old Ying continued. He was scared that everyone would be too pressured. The crown prince isn't always determined by who is the strongest. There has been at least one instance of a prince ranked 5th becoming the crown prince, Shi Yulai added. He was scared that the others would be too pressured as well, so he worked with Old Ying and the ninth prince. Oh, so brother ninth prince still has a chance. Don't worry. Zhou Su'er suddenly stood up and patted the ninth prince's shoulder. Shi Yulai and Old Ying looked around, and their expressions instantly stiffened. In reality, the members of the ninth prince's team didn't feel worried at all. Zhou Su'er was obviously someone that didn't really care from the start. Shan Shitze had his eyes closed as he sat quietly on the side, and no one knew what he was calculating. Zhao Feng seemed to have entered a state of cultivation, and after Jing Kai was branded with the Dark Heart seal, his attitude had changed dramatically as well. Only Su Qingling felt responsible and had a solemn attitude. There's still 10 days left. Everyone try to increase your strength as much as you can and be ready, Old Ying said before leaving with the ninth prince. Seeing that the meeting had ended, Zhao Feng got up and left as well. Although he had entered a state of cultivation, he still knew everything that went on in the outside world as well as he knew his own palms and fingers, so he obviously heard every exchange. Zhao Feng was currently cultivating the undying sacred lightning body. After fighting with his sacred lightning body for so long, and with the help of the Emperor of Death's death intent pushing his potential, Zhao Feng could now cultivate the undying sacred lightning body. The damage reduction of an undying body was very obvious. It could completely ignore normal attacks. Furthermore, the undying characteristic could complement the sacred body of a sacred lord. Zhao Feng had just become an emperor, but he needed to create a solid foundation to break through to the mystic light realm and hopefully succeed on his first try. He had also obtained the complete 10,000 divine thoughts technique. He felt that, if he cultivated the 10,000 divine thoughts technique to the highest level, it would be extremely beneficial to him. Oh yeah, Zhou Su'er, do you know what a 3-life evil ghost flower is used for? Zhao Feng suddenly thought of something. The ghost flower that he originally didn't really care about in the Imperial Sky inheritance was extremely important to Sacred Lord Black Demon. He believed that the 3-life evil ghost flower should be useful in many different areas, not just one. Why are you asking me such a thing? The 3-life evil ghost flower is a top-tier material to create a demonic Dao clone, and it can increase how fast the clone is formed as well as increase one's power. Zhou Su'er was slightly surprised. Zhao Feng hadn't cultivated any demonic Dao techniques before, so why was he asking her about that thing? Are you planning to create a clone that cultivates the demonic Dao later? Zhou Su'er asked. Zhao Feng may have obtained a rare demonic Dao clone secret skill somewhere. No, I'm just casually asking. Zhao Feng had a calm expression. From the looks of it, the 3-life evil ghost flower was indeed a very precious treasure to cultivators of the demonic Dao. Cloning secret techniques were techniques that only sacred lords had. One would only cultivate such a secret skill after reaching the early stages of the mystic light realm, or perhaps a particularly strong beginner sacred lord. The strength of a clone was related to the tier of the secret skill, so a herb that could increase the strength of a clone was extremely precious. It was the same as upgrading the rank of a skill. After learning the use of the 3-life evil ghost flower, Zhao Feng felt that it was even more useless to him. Zhao Feng entered the spiritual pet garden again after exiting the metallic room. Do you need me to take care of your spiritual pets or train them? Or do you want to buy some? A short elder slowly walked over. I need 10 Emperor-level flying beasts. This time, Zhao Feng chose 10 dragon-winged eagles, which could be considered a small pack of flying beasts. After leaving the spiritual pet garden, Zhao Feng gave the 10 dragon-winged eagles one completely dim piece of dragon jade each. These 10 pieces of dragon jade were the ones that the little thieving cat had stolen from the emperors and quasi-sacred lords in Zhao Feng's little world. The draconic providence within them had already been given to the 9th prince. Shoo! The 10 dragon-winged eagles each gripped a piece of dragon jade, then flew into the sky in different directions. There's not much time left till the Crown Prince trial comes to an end. We need to gather as much draconic providence as we can. Since Zhao Feng had agreed to help the ninth prince and took up one of the positions, he would obviously give it his all. After entering the Heaven's Legacy City, no one would leave to gather any more draconic providence. Everyone would increase their own strength by searching for fortune in the Heaven's Legacy City. In the past, some beast tamers had attempted to use beasts to gather draconic providence, but it was very risky. It would be bad if the beasts met danger while gathering draconic providence and lost the dragon jade. Zhao Feng was different from them though. He could see whatever the flying beasts saw through the dark heart seal. If there was any danger, he could just warn the spiritual pets to leave or use his Eye of Heaven to help them. All of this could happen because of the 10,000 Divine Thoughts technique. If he didn't have that, he wouldn't be able to share the sight of almost 20 flying beasts at the same time, not to mention all the other stuff he still had to do. 10 days passed by in a flash, and Zhao Feng's sacred lightning body finally had a wisp of the undying attribute. Jinkai also reached the quasi-sacred lord level. This was a good thing for the entire team. On this day, the ninth prince's team came to the field in the very center of the Heaven's Legacy City. In front of a dazzling fountain were metallic steps made from a very unique material. Above the steps was a gray and white stone stage. The members of the ninth prince's team walked onto the stone stage. Wang. The ninth prince took out the pseudo-crown prince seal and imprinted it onto the gray and white stone stage. Wang tilde boom. Boom. The entire stone stage started to rise into the air, and so did everyone standing on it. In the air above the Great Gon Lord Dynasty, a dim screen finally showed some images. Even with the sensing arrays and the pseudo-crown prince seals, they had no effect in the Heaven's Legacy City. Only when the third stage started and the princes rose into the air would the outside world be able to see them again. I can finally see them now. The game of the third stage is about to start. I wonder which game the Heaven's Legacy City will have this time. Everyone in the outside world was wondering how the third stage would proceed. The 4 stone stages floated in the air, and each took one of the cardinal directions, forming a square. Wang tilde. A transparent elder suddenly appeared in the center of the 4 princes. From the state of the elder, one could tell he was a machine from a Heaven's Legacy City. 4 princes, the clash between princes is about to start, the transparent elder's voice sounded. I am the judge of this game. A black piece of metal that couldn't be properly seen appeared in the transparent elder's hand. This time, we will open. The elder suddenly threw out the black piece of metal, and it released a mysterious glow of light. Jang. The black piece of metal floated in the air and quickly expanded, and there were several explosion sounds. The black piece of metal finally turned into a metallic object that filled up the space in between the 4 princes. The board to a game of chess had been set. A moving maze palace. Chapter 984, Candy. The 4 princes and their teams stood on the stone stage and looked at the complex maze palace in front of them. This maze palace was made from a black metallic material, and it floated in the center of the 4 princes like a chessboard. However, this maze palace was actually a different world altogether. Firstly, several people will be picked at random from each team according to the total amount of people and will enter the maze palace. The transparent elder's voice suddenly sounded. Hu tilde Wang. An old and complex array instantly appeared on the stone stages that the 4 princes were standing on, and a unique undulation in space locked onto several people. From the 9th prince's stone stage, silver light flashed around Old Ying, Su Qingling, Jinkai, and Zhao Feng. Whoosh! 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 The 4 disappeared from the 9th prince's stone stage. At the same time, the 9th prince, Zhou Suer, and the rest of the team saw those 4 appear in different locations in the maze palace. What a unique skill! Zhou Suer couldn't help but sigh. Like them, a certain number of the other princes' members were teleported into the maze palace. They're the chess pieces for the princes. Only the princes can communicate with and direct the members inside the moving maze palace by using the pseudo-crown prince seal. The transparent elder told them the rules of the game. If 2 people meet each other in the maze palace, there will be a unique scenery, and the victor will obtain 10% of the draconic providence from the loser's dragon jade. This meant that battles were completely random. As long as 2 people met in the maze palace, a unique fight would appear. The transparent elder gave a faint smile as he looked down at the Maze Palace. Would every prince transfer their draconic providence to the members within the Maze Palace? Interesting. Zhao Feng inspected his surroundings as he stood within the Maze Palace. All his senses were heavily restricted here. He couldn't even sense what was on the other side of the black wall. The Maze Palace's ceiling was also made from the black metallic material that created the walls, but the princes were able to see what was happening within the Maze Palace from outside. From the perspective of those in the outside world, the Maze Palace was a chessboard several hundred yards wide, and the people within it were small chess pieces. The princes were like gods that could look down and direct their team members. Wang Wang. Zhao Feng's dragon jade became brighter as draconic providence started to fill it. Our situation is decent right now. At least Zhou Zuer didn't enter the Maze Palace, the ninth prince's voice sounded in everyone's mind through the dragon jades. Does this mean that doctors from other groups have entered? Zhao Feng immediately asked. That is indeed the case, the ninth prince replied. The four from the ninth prince's team that entered the Maze Palace were Old Ying, Zhao Feng, Su Qingling, and Qing Kai. They didn't get Qi Yulai, who was relatively strong, but they didn't get Zhou Zuer either, who was a weak fighter. All in all, it could be considered good. On the other hand, a doctor that didn't specialize in combat had entered for the 8th Prince's team. They were basically guaranteed to lose as soon as they came across anyone in the Maze Palace. As expected, luck played a big role in the 3rd stage. What should we do next? Su Qingling's cold voice sounded. She wasn't very strong, so she was slightly scared. I will warn you if any dangerous enemies appear around you, the 9th Prince's voice sounded. It's not that simple. Zhao Feng was certain. All 4 princes could see what was happening within the Maze Palace, so you couldn't avoid someone just because you wanted to. This game tested the analysis and control abilities of a prince. If the 9th Prince was skillful at being a commander, he would be able to direct Su Qingling to avoid fights while letting Zhao Feng and Old Ying fight against the other team's weaklings. Zhao Feng, Sacred Lord Black Demon is moving toward you. The 13th Prince should be giving directions to Sacred Lord Black Demon, the 9th Prince's voice sounded in Zhao Feng's mind. Old Ying, there's a relatively weaker quasi-Sacred Lord on your front left. Go left, then choose a path that leads right. Su Qingling, go toward your right. There are fewer people there. Try to avoid fighting. The 4 princes on the stone stands were completely focused as they looked down at the Maze Palace. They put their hands on the pseudo-crown prince seals and communicated with the members in the Maze Palace and directed them to plunder the draconic providence from everyone else. Let the games begin. The transparent elder's voice sounded in everyone's ears. Boom. 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 The metallic walls in the Maze Palace instantly started to move around. Some walls sunk into the ground while other walls appeared out of nowhere. The moving Maze Palace increases the difficulty for the princes to give directions, Zhao Feng said faintly. Since the landscape was continuously changing, the princes needed to pay attention to the situation of every member and give them clear directions at all times. Furthermore, an ever-changing landscape could stop members from memorizing the map of the Maze Palace. The see-through ability of the god's spiritual eye doesn't work as well. Zhao Feng's left eye looked at a wall next to him, but he was unable to see past it. Zhao Feng, Sacred Lord Black Demon is approaching from your left, the 9th Prince suddenly said. It was obvious that, while the 9th Prince was busy directing the others, he had forgotten about Zhao Feng's situation. 9th Prince, you don't need to worry about Qing Kai or me. Just focus on directing Old Ying and Su Qingling, Zhao Feng told the 9th Prince. A terrifying cold demonic pressure suddenly appeared from a path on his side. Whoosh. Whoosh. Zhao Feng, your day of death has arrived. Sacred Lord Black Demon had a cruel smile as he approached Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng had a calm expression. He inspected his surroundings while looking at Sacred Lord Black Demon. Wang Wang. When the two were only 10 meters away from each another, the scenery around them suddenly disappeared. Whoosh. Zhao Feng and Sacred Lord Black Demon appeared in a different place. When two people meet, there will be a change in scenery, Zhao Feng murmured the rules that the transparent elder had said. This place was a plain filled with many weird trees that were 1,000 yards high. Sacred Lord Black Demon and Zhao Feng both appeared in this place. Uncle, my kite is stuck on that tree. Can you get it for me? There was a little kid next to Zhao Feng and Sacred Lord Black Demon who was jumping around. Little brat, fuck off. Sacred Lord Black Demon waved his robes in anger, and a surge of black demonic power formed a dragon that charged toward the little kid. Wang tilde. An invisible barrier suddenly appeared around the little kid, and Sacred Lord Black Demon's attack was rebounded back at him. Sacred Lord Black Demon jumped up in fright and instantly thrust out his palm, nullifying the attack. Sacred Lord Black Demon, right now, you and Zhao Feng are in a game. You can't harm the little boy. Instead, you have to do as he says, the 13th Prince's voice sounded in Sacred Lord Black Demon's mind. Damn it, this fucking little brat. Sacred Lord Black Demon's eyes bulged with anger, but there was nothing he could do. He originally thought that he would fight Zhao Feng after meeting him, but they entered a weird game instead and had to follow the rules. Zhao Feng? Sacred Lord Black Demon suddenly realized that Zhao Feng was already flying toward a tree that had a red kite stuck on it. Who? Sacred Lord Black Demon instantly leapt into the air and chased after Zhao Feng. What terrifying gravity! Zhao Feng felt an invisible force of gravity bearing down on him. The higher he flew, the stronger the gravity. This tree was 1,000 yards tall. Zhao Feng was speechless. The little kid was flying his kite this high in the air? From the looks of it, this scenery should be fake, and the contents were made up by the Heaven's Legacy race, so it couldn't be measured by normal standards. Boom. Zhao Feng circulated his sacred lightning body, and his body released a brilliant golden flash of lightning. With the help of the sacred lightning body, Zhao Feng's resistance and speed increased dramatically. Whoosh! Zhao Feng instantly charged up several hundred yards. There's a strong gravity here. Sacred Lord Black Demon's expression was grim, but he had a sacred body and had stronger resistance. Black Demon Flash. Black flames rose around Sacred Lord Black Demon, and a surge of black flames swirled around his legs. Who? The surge of black flames exploded beneath his legs, and he charged upward as if he was sliding through the air. Humph! Without saying anything else, Zhao Feng ignited the perfect Blood Devil Sun bloodline. Bam! With a series of explosions, Zhao Feng's speed was increased to the limit, and he shot toward the tree. Since Zhao Feng had taken action a step earlier than Sacred Lord Black Demon, he successfully obtained the red kite first. Zhao Feng, the kite is mine. Sacred Lord Black Demon roared as he charged upward. Blood Devil Charge. Zhao Feng was covered in flames, and there were sounds of explosions around him. The image of a blood-red sun with a spinning whirlpool in the middle started to appear behind him. Hushua. Zhao Feng's scarlet blood-colored wings left a trail of blood-colored light as the blood-red sun behind his back released a radiance of gold and red light. With the addition of the Blood Devil Charge, Zhao Feng was like an ancient golden crow as he charged downward with the kite. Boom. 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 The gravity that restrained Zhao Feng earlier now helped him and pushed his speed to the maximum. Not good. Sacred Lord Black Demon's expression changed dramatically. His heart trembled, and he could feel how powerful Zhao Feng's charge was even from this distance. Sacred Lord Black Demon didn't specialize in body strengthening, so he obviously wouldn't clash with Zhao Feng head-on. He immediately moved aside and dodged Zhao Feng's attack. Goodbye. Zhao Feng didn't bother with Sacred Lord Black Demon and quickly sped toward the ground. Who? Zhao Feng did a flip and handed the kite over to the little boy. Thank you, Uncle. I have a piece of candy for Uncle. The little boy happily took the kite and extended a small chubby hand. A substandard god crystal quietly lay on it. Zhao Feng's eyes faltered for a moment before quickly taking away the substandard god crystal. Damn it, Zhao Feng. Sacred Lord Black Demon just arrived and was about to attack Zhao Feng, but a mechanical voice sounded at this instant, Victor, Zhao Feng. 10% of the draconic providence within Sacred Lord Black Demon's Dragon Jade then flowed into Zhao Feng's Dragon Jade. Huang. The scenery around them started to twist and disappear. Zhao Feng returned to the Maze Palace, but his location was different. It looked like he had appeared in a random spot in the Maze Palace. So, that's how it is. After experiencing it for the first time, Zhao Feng understood almost all the rules of the game. Chapter 985, Cheater. The four princes above the Heaven's Legacy cities were completely concentrated on the Maze Palace as they used their pseudo-crown prince seals to direct their members inside the Maze Palace. Random transparent spheres occasionally appeared above the Maze Palace. Within these spheres were images of the fights. Inside one of them, Zhao Feng shot toward a tree and grabbed a red kite. As expected of the Heaven's Legacy race, their creation ability is unimaginable. Who knows how many secret dimensions are contained within this one game? Shi Yulai was stunned, and he felt slightly regretful that he wasn't able to experience it himself. Shen Qitze looked at the maze palace below and didn't seem to focus on anything. Instead, he seemed to be divining something. Good. Zhao Feng defeated Sacred Lord Black Demon and won 10% of his draconic providence, Shi Yulai exclaimed. The sphere showing Zhao Feng then disappeared. Brother Zhao has courage and skill. The ninth prince let out a breath. Because of his error, Sacred Lord Black Demon managed to approach Zhao Feng and start a fight, but luckily, Zhao Feng won. Zhao Feng's adaptive abilities toward unknown environments easily surpassed others. I'll listen to Zhao Feng and just direct Old Ying and Su Qingling. The ninth prince believed Zhao Feng's decision. Within the moving maze palace, Jing Kai met an elder in azure robes from the fourth prince's team. Ha ha ha. It's Jing Kai from the ninth prince's team. The elder in azure robes revealed a wicked smile as he charged forward. As soon as he made it within a certain range of Jing Kai. Wang. The scenery around them started to twist, and they appeared in another dimension. Jing Kai faced the elder in azure robes within a forest. Several hundred villagers were crying and begging as they knelt behind Jing Kai. Hero, please save our village. That group of bandits has come again. Please help us get rid of these bandits. On the other hand, behind the azure-robed elder were several dozen fierce-looking bandits holding big swords and axes. Big bro, let's attack. Yeah, we brothers haven't eaten meat in several months. The azure-robed elder's eyes bulged out, and his mustache blew upward in anger. Although he knew everything here was just random and all the contents were fake, he was the regulations elder of a 3-star power in reality, but in this game, he was the leader of the group of bandits? Jing Kai, let's end this. The azure-robed elder charged out impatiently. 3 stanzas of the Green Ocean. The elder in azure robes waved his hand, and waves of water formed a dark green whirlpool that swept toward Jing Kai. Jing Kai was on guard, and a bright golden light appeared around him. Shu tilde. The golden light clashed with the dark green water. The power of the shockwave destroyed the nearby mountains and rivers. Hee, Jing Kai, you've just reached the quasi-sacred lord level, right? The azure-robed elder laughed. Boom. Just as the dark green water covered Jing Kai and was about to completely engulf him, a faint golden eye of heaven appeared above them both. A surge of eye intent that reached the heavens suddenly shot toward the azure-robed elder. Arg. The azure-robed elder screamed as 10,000 bolts of lightning blasted his soul, and he instantly froze. Jing Kai instantly charged over, and countless golden beams of light slew the bandits. Victor, Jing Kai, a mechanical voice sounded. How is this possible? That eye. The elder in azure robes had a stunned and fearful expression. Who? 10% of the azure-robed elder's draconic providence entered Jing Kai's dragon jade. Thank you, Master, Jing Kai said in a low tone. At the same time, the villagers behind him erupted in cheers. Hero, thank you for saving our village. This gift is just a bit of our gratitude. The expressions of everyone on the fourth prince's stone stage froze. How did the azure-robed elder lose? And what was that faint golden eye that appeared in the sky? Fourth prince, I don't know either. When I was fighting with Jing Kai, a powerful eye intent suddenly appeared in the sky. The elder explained helplessly. He felt that he had lost too unfairly. That golden eye. Could it be Zhao Feng? The fourth prince remembered Zhao Feng's eye and thought. Zhao Feng opened his eyes within the maze palace. The eye of heaven uses too much eye intent, Zhao Feng said in a light tone. Zhao Feng could talk with and interact with anyone that had a dark heart seal. He could also see through their eyes and use the eye of heaven to help them. However, this was the first time he had used the eye of heaven through another dimension. Luckily, the secret dimension wasn't very far away from the moving maze palace, and the structure of the secret dimension was extremely simple. Zhao Feng was better at helping Jing Kai than the ninth prince. At this moment, the ninth prince was fully focused on Old Ying and Su Qingling. Zhao Feng started to take action as well, but he didn't meet anyone else after walking for a long time. Looks like I revealed too much of my strength, and now everyone is avoiding me. Zhao Feng sighed helplessly. The strength he displayed in the previous stage was completely comparable to the older sacred lords. Since most of those that were participating in the Maze Palace were quasi-sacred lords, they obviously wanted to avoid Zhao Feng. This means that I will only meet sacred lords. Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed. Although he wasn't scared of sacred lords head-on, there were many possibilities in the different secret dimensions, and sacred lords were stronger than him in most aspects. Zhao Feng didn't want to interact with only sacred lords. It would be much easier if he dealt with quasi-sacred lords and emperors. If that's the case, then I'll just rely on luck. A surge of wind lightning appeared around Zhao Feng. Whoosh! A pair of scarlet wings of lightning extended behind his back. Whoosh! Zhao Feng chose a random direction, turned into a bolt of lightning, and flashed forward. While everyone else was carefully moving under the guidance of their princes, Zhao Feng used a speed-based secret technique and moved through the ever-changing maze palace as quickly as possible. Whoever he met first would be the one he would fight. Luo Xun, not good. Zhao Feng is approaching you. The 8th prince's voice suddenly sounded in Luo Xun's mind. Luo Xun paused for a moment. Although he knew that he wasn't Zhao Feng's match, he didn't want to run this time. Besides, the challenges in the moving maze palace weren't completely reliant on strength. Zhao Feng. Luo Xun charged forward when he saw Zhao Feng appear in front of him. Wang tilde. They appeared within a world of snow and ice. I really need the frozen ice mystic iron at the bottom of this 1,000-year-old mystic ice. Which one of you can mine some for me? A middle-aged male wearing cold resistance clothes looked at Zhao Feng and Luo Xun. Zhao Feng, sorry, but I specialize in ice. Luo Xun puffed out his chest with a smug smile. Although it wasn't very fair if he won against Zhao Feng using his forte, luck was a part of strength. A surge of extreme coldness appeared from Luo Xun's left hand, and the temperature nearby dropped by another couple dozen degrees. Even the air was completely frozen. Luo Xun pressed his hand onto the layer of ice and released a surge of cold power. Crack! The layer of ice on the ground exploded, but it wasn't enough. It was hard to know how deep the frozen ice mystic iron was. Zhao Feng looked at the layer of ice below. The frozen ice mystic iron is 1,000 yards deep underground. He also had an ice-water bloodline, but it specialized in defense and recovery. In terms of digging, Luo Xun was probably better. Meow meow. The little thieving cat appeared on Zhao Feng's shoulder and leaned on a spade as it revealed a swagger-filled expression, as if it was its time to shine again. The little thieving cat landed on the ground and dug the spade into the layer of ice. Bang boom tilde. The ground suddenly started to shake. Zhao Feng's left eye saw the frozen ice mystic iron underground move a certain distance as the layer of ice cracked. Luo Xun revealed a surprised expression and looked at Zhao Feng and the little thieving cat. He felt the depths of the ice shake just now. He didn't understand what Zhao Feng and his spiritual pet were doing. Crack. 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 The little thieving cat once again dug the spade into the ground. Boom. 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 The entire depths of the ice started to shake and crack, as if a beast was about to charge out from underground. Bam. Bam. The shaking started to become stronger and stronger until the entire ground started to shake. Luo Xun revealed a surprised expression. He didn't know what Zhao Feng's spiritual pet was doing, but the ice 1,000 yards underground was shattering. Bang tilde crack. Crack. Large holes appeared wherever the little thieving cat dug. If one looked down, they could see the layers of ice underneath shattering inch by inch. A gold and white piece of iron was stuck within the cracks. Whoosh! Zhao Feng instantly jumped into the hole and took the frozen ice mystic iron. How is this possible? Luo Xun, who was still circulating his power of ice, was instantly dazed. Even now, he didn't understand what Zhao Feng and his spiritual pet did to make the frozen ice mystic iron, which was 1,000 yards underground, jump out by itself. Thank you, young man. This is your reward. The middle-aged male revealed a faint smile and handed over several weird stones. Victor, Zhao Feng. A voice appeared in the dimension, and Zhao Feng's dragon jade lit up a bit more. The next instant, Zhao Feng returned to the maze palace. This still doesn't work. Zhao Feng just stood there. If it wasn't for the fact that Luo Xun decided to charge over to him, Zhao Feng wouldn't have even realized that someone was there. His senses were heavily suppressed, and his left eye couldn't see through anything. It was indeed quite troublesome. If my left eye can't see through the walls of the maze palace, then what about this? Zhao Feng suddenly remembered something. Wang tilde. A faint golden disturbance of light appeared on Zhao Feng's eye. While his left eye had the ability to see through objects inherently, the new ability of his golden eye had an even stronger version of that ability. It works. Zhao Feng was extremely happy. At this moment, wherever he looked with his left eye, that place would turn into a world made up of faint golden atoms. He was able to see through several dozen metallic walls now. The structure of the atoms that made up the metallic walls was extremely complex. It was actually several dozen times more complex than the structure of a peak Earth-grade weapon. Of course, that wasn't what Zhao Feng was focusing on. This means that everyone within a range of 10 walls of me will be under my control. Zhao Feng was secretly overjoyed. This would be much easier. However, white light suddenly started to glitter around the transparent elder above the moving maze palace. A cheater has been found and will be punished.